it is, my good people. I'm Ahmad Hicks. As y'all see, Mycole, he ain't here right now. I don't know what he's supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be in person with us, but no worries. We got my man virtually for us right now. So let's go and pop him up. There he is. There's my dog, Mycole. What's the word today, baby? Look, Rastafarian today, huh?
Look, man, I'm letting it hang, letting it hang.
Look, all right. Well, it's good to have you. So we're gonna be doing this little remote virtual setup here. Mycole, he's in his home state of Dallas, Texas. I'm here in Minnesota, but we still go bring y'all both sides to every story. There's a lot to recap after 2 weeks in the National Football League, but there's some other storylines that we wanted to talk about, some other pressing needs that we feel like needs more of a breakdown and more context provided when you're talking about the professional athlete and the journalist. So, all right, Mycole, let's get into it. Let's bring up the whiteboard and let's bring up today's topic. So, we were supposed to have a guest, Cole. He was a pretty talented reporter in Dallas, a Lone Star Emmy Award winner, multiple Emmys under his resume, Mike Leslie. But the two sides of being a journalist. His station controls his name, image, and likeness. And when they caught wind that we were going to be
Ooh.
doing this podcast in Minnesota, where there's a Tegna station, with a competitor and myself, since I work for Fox, they axed it. They said he couldn't do it. Although this is not a Fox 9 production, this is a Must Be Two Sides production. This is the reality that journalists have to deal with, Cole, in their name, image, and likeness.
Man, I guess it's all good. I'm a little disappointed, but y'all gotta get some better NIL deals, bro.
I know, right? We got to do something, but that's Mike Leslie on the screen. Like I said, he works at WFAA in Dallas. So we're going to be talking a little bit about his stories, his encounters that he had with several athletes, several big name athletes in the Dallas area. But before we get to that, we'll obviously break down the current climate with media and professional athletes. But yeah, unfortunately, couldn't have Mike Leslie here with us today, but he did give us his blessing to kind of talk about these topics in this situation. And he told us to go have some fun with it. So that's what we plan on doing. So I guess, Cole, first things first, let's address this climate between the media and the professional athlete. Where do you think it stands after 2 weeks in the National Football League?
I think just more of the same, bro. Like it's clearly been a rift between media and athletes for a long time now. And we see early on some of the same things. Media baiting athletes into certain questions, media
There you go.
painting narratives about Shador Sanders and others. Aaron Rodgers, calling out his media prowesses and everything like that. But it seems to be more of the same, man. I thought we were supposed to be bridging the gap, bro. Like how do we make this better?
Relax. It just started. It just started. I mean, like, look, we just started doing this a couple of months ago. So, look, it's going to take some time. And then we're going to need to get some players and some journalists on here. We're trying to do that right now. But, obviously the NFL players are a little tied up. And then the ones who don't have a job right now or may be retired are a little tied up with their, post life thing. So, we're going to get some guests on here. We're going to try and bridge that divide just a little bit, because I feel like we talked about this in previous episodes. Aaron Rodgers came out the gates firing. Like that guy, no stranger to media and letting him know how he feels. Then you got some college coaches, just firing away. Like I know we're talking about the NFL, but Brian Kelly down at LSU just ripped a reporter for asking him a tough question and then came back and apologized the very next day. So I think that when you talk about, I think that coaches and players can be a little defensive after games. And I feel like sometimes the heat of the moment, which you've kind of talked about before and provided context, I still think the guys can be a little sensitive. And when we ask the questions that need to be asked, you guys don't want them asked right after a game, but they have to be asked. So where do we find that divide, Cole? That bridge, should I say?
That bridge, man, it got to come within the policies of how we do this media athlete thing. Like there has to be a buffer, man. Let us debrief, let us decompress, man. Let us have more than 10 minutes after a game. Like, come on now, you would be able to admit that 10 minutes after losing anything, like you are still a little pressed about what happened. So for somebody to come and put a microphone in your face and start to ask you why did you lose? Back up, bro. I'm still trying to process it
How
myself.
much time y'all want?
Man, as much as we need.
No, y'all get 15 minutes after a game in the professional football league, National Football League, and then half the time 50% of y'all be gone by the time we get in the locker room. So if we give y'all 25, 30 minutes, ain't nobody gonna be in there but the head coach and the quarterback. And maybe the other star player of the team that's getting paid all the money. Like, what are we talking about? Y'all got enough time, man. Just get your thoughts together. The game ends, you got 15 minutes, you feel me? Y'all go give us some cliche answer anyway. So just get your thoughts together. Give a correct answer that your
But
fans
when you
want to
say
hear.
15 minutes, it's really not 15 minutes, bro. Like that's from when the game ends. We don't get in the locker room until 12 minutes. So it's really 3 minutes after we got in the locker room, the coach then broke it down and said whatever he had to say. Next thing I know, I turn around, y'all in there
Cat, you
swarming.
ain't in the locker room. You not hanging out on the field 12 minutes after a game.
I might. If that's what I decide to do, I would. You know, some people they break it down, they pray after the
They
game.
do.
You know what I'm
Exchange
saying?
jerseys.
They give thanks and whatnot, and then you got to listen to coach talk for 3 to 4 minutes after that. A player might have something to say because we just lost, you know, things like that. So it's really not even 15 minutes for real.
I still think it's quite a bit because I feel like when we're waiting outside the locker room, it takes quite a while. But all right.
See, you worry about yourself. You worry about yourself.
No. We got newscasts. If a game ends at 3:30 and we gotta wait 15 minutes to get into the locker room, it's 3:45. Look, we got a live shot at 5 o'clock. I gotta go ask y'all questions. I gotta go listen to the coach talk. That's about 35 minutes of work. And then I gotta go break everything
Hey.
down.
There's no story without us, sir. You gotta wait.
You absolutely
Wait.
no. Y'all game
Wait.
ended at 3:30, so y'all need to come on because we got a deadline. You feel me? So we got to work together. You feel me? All right. Anyway, let's get into these topics, man. All right. So, like I said, we were supposed to have Mike Leslie here, a pretty great reporter down in Dallas, but he also went viral the last couple of years for two things. So we'll start with the Trevon Diggs incident. So there's Mike Leslie, but Gabe, let's go ahead and pop up a picture for people at home who don't know who Trey Diggs is. So he's a defensive back for the Dallas Cowboys. Pretty good defensive back. Just got paid a ton of money a couple of years ago. He's one of the more popular players on the Dallas team. But you know, Cole, sometimes you guys get criticized by your what we see on film and what we see from the press box. And Trey Diggs didn't like what took place.
No, he did not, man. First of all, to react like that after the game, I will
Hold on.
admit
Provide
that
context. What happened? But before he reacted after the game, do you want me to break it down, or you need to break it down?
I'll
Okay.
provide a little
Okay.
context. So basically, there was a play where George Kittle scored a touchdown, and Trayvon was in man coverage, guarding another receiver down the field, and his back was turned. So by the time he turned around to see George Kittle running to the end zone, his effort may have not been at the highest, and George Kittle ran right past him and scored. And Mike Leslie decided to make a tweet about how he doesn't know what Stephon Diggs is doing on this play. And Trayvon Diggs took offense to this tweet.
So the most important thing when providing context is to be factual, and to say that Trayvon Diggs had his back to the play is
He did.
pretty wild because he was jogging after George Kittle for about 20 yards. And I think that's what Mike asked what Trayvon is doing on this play, because there were players running. He had an ankle on Kittle, but he was not sprinting. Had he sprinted, maybe Kittle doesn't score or gain the amount of yards that he gained. That's why
So his
Mike.
back wasn't so he wasn't in man-to-man coverage to another player who's 10, 20 yards downfield with his back turned.
When we pop this video up on the screen and y'all watch this video, y'all be the judge. But the video angle that y'all go see is Trayvon Diggs jogging after a player for at least 20 yards.
Out of that whole play, that's what you took from that? You don't know football. You can't do nothing that I do. You can't go out there and do nothing. Stay in your lane, buddy. Stop playing me, bro.
Just asking a question, Trayvon. I mean, I'm happy to have you answer the question.
Out of that whole play, that's what you took for that? That's what you got from that whole play, that's what you got from that?
I'm asking. We can talk about it more. What were you doing then?
Mike asked, what is Trevon doing on this play? That's why he asked what he was doing. Now, after the game, we're talking about immediately after a game. So, like, this is what we're talking about, that 15-minute buffer zone before players get to go, before reporters get to go in the locker room, players get that buffer zone to calm down a little bit. Trevon Diggs says, forget all that. I'm coming out the locker room and I'm confronting Mike because I just saw his tweet and it's going rather viral right now. And he came up to him and was like, is that all you saw from this play? Like, y'all just saw it. Like, he just basically confronted him. And then Mike's like, kept his composure. It's like, we can talk about it. You can answer the question, Trey. And he was like, D's nuts. And then, so this is a picture after that incident. So they had that feud, whatnot. But then they came back and Trevon Diggs apologized. And that's what you see right now.
He did. And look, man, first of all, going straight to your phone after a game is
and getting on Twitter.
It's not a great practice, first of all. But obviously he had a whole bunch of notifications and something led him to look at that. He popped his phone open and oh no, what is this? Hold up. I know this man. He out here right now. Let me go holler at him. So he proceeded to come out the locker room, shoulder pads on, everything. And voice his opinion. His first thing he said wasn't these nuts. So wasn't. Like, come on now.
I didn't say that was the first thing he said. I said, is that all you saw from this play? Blah, blah. Then Mike said, you can answer it. And then he said, D's nuts at the end.
He informed Mike that he had no idea what was going on that play, which he didn't. He made an assumption that Trevon Diggs was jogging. He made an assumption. Trevon Diggs later told him, actually, I was slow playing for a cutback, So you never know what's going on in the mind of these players and how they react in a full speed game, bro. So for you to have a knee-jerk reaction on Twitter and it to go viral to your thousands of followers and paint Trevon in a bad light, I feel like you gotta think before you tweet as well. Just like Trevon should have thought before he came out and did what he did.
Let me ask you a question real fast. And don't cap on this either.
Yeah.
A coach see that play in film, what they say? You playing the cutback or you jogging? You lollygagging? What a coach saying in film?
Hey, coach might say you was jogging.
But thank you. So if the coach gonna say you jogging, then why is the reporter to blame for saying what is Trey doing on this play?
But you also get a chance there to explain what you was doing and what you was thinking.
Coach ain't hearing none of that. I've been a player. Coach ain't hearing none of that. He gonna be like, sprint to the football. Go get him. Don't play no cutback. Go sprint and go make the tackle. So what you saying?
But Trevon Diggs being who he is, he's afforded a bit of an explanation in what you was thinking and how we can do better on the next play.
Gabe, can we just play this video?
Coach, one thing that coach isn't going to do is go to the media and blast Trevon Diggs for jogging on this play.
Some coaches will.
That's not what he going to do.
Some coaches will. Gabe, can we show this video?
The play? That whole play, that's what you took from that? You don't know football. You can't do nothing that I do. You can't go out there and do nothing. Stay in your lane, buddy. Stop playing me, bro.
Just asking a question, Trevon. I'm happy to have you answer the question.
That whole play, that's what you took for that? That's what you got from that? That whole play, that's what you got from that?
I'm asking. We can talk about it more. What were you doing then?
Talk about these nuts.
So what's the deal? You saw the play. His back didn't look like it was for the play for about 15 yards. And he had another player in front of him that could have played the cutback as well. So sounds like a lot of excuses.
Yeah, man. This is something that DBs do, man. They don't really want to make tackles. They think that somebody else is gonna make the tackle and react a little late.
There you go. Throw your brothers under the bus.
I mean, that's what happens. That's what they do.
They don't like the contact, huh?
I witnessed it.
I'm a former DB. I can attest to that. I ain't gonna count.
He thought somebody else was gonna make the tackle, man. That's why he kind of slow played it a little bit. So, when you come back to your phone after a loss and you got all these notifications about how somebody was talking bad about your play, especially a specific play that they may blame solely on you, or that's the context of the tweet. it sparks a certain reaction in you, an emotional reaction, to say the least.
The quote talking bad about you is kind of wild. He just asked the question. It was a very valid question. But needless to say, Trevon didn't like it. They had some words after the game. But what you guys are looking at right now is how they made up. Trevon came out and apologized to Mike Leslie. Mike Leslie said he apologized if he misread the play, which I don't think he misread the play. He was very accurate in his question. But they made up. And because Trevon had said something like, D's nuts at the end, they made up over a can of nuts. And they had like banana pudding flavor and ranch flavor. So it was just a good spin. And then if Gabe, you pop up the next picture, you see a picture of Mike and Trevon at a game this season. So clearly shows like after that blow up, after that feud that they had, it made their relationship better. And I'm sure it made Mike better on how to cover Trey and, how to assess things and, before he tweets them out, kind of like Mycole just said. And it also let Trey explain, like, look, I'm just a journalist and I'm going off what I saw. And most people at home will go off what they saw. And what does a coach always tell a player? You're only as good as the film that you put on tape. And so, yeah.
Definitely. And I think that, in today's climate with social media being such a prevalent thing and the way that most people get their news, like, and it's so loose. It's so loose too. Mm-hmm. Like the way people tweet, the way people go about it. It's like sometimes you got to stop and think and recognize like this could have the same effect as me writing a story as well. So it's not just something that, especially in Mike's position, I don't think it's something that you should just take lightly.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I feel you on that. I get you. We gotta worry about y'all job security is what you're telling us. Although y'all ain't worried about our job security. That's basically what I just took from that answer. But all right, because y'all don't give a damn about us after a game and stuff. And now you want us to care about y'all and how we report things.
I mean, we are the reason that you are reported in the first place. So why would you not care about what you're reporting
There's
a lot
of different other sports we cover too, brother. Yeah, I just ain't the only ones that get us paid.
But that's the main one. NFL is king, sir. You know that. You know that.
I ain't gonna sit here and cap like it's not. I ain't gonna sit here and cap like it's not. All right, let's move on. So, Gabe, let's pop up a picture of Micah Parsons. So, Micah Parsons is also another athlete that Mike Leslie had the privilege of covering while he was in Dallas. And we all know Micah Parsons, phenom, absolute star of a football player. And he wanted a bag from Jerry Jones. He did not get a bag. Cole, can you tell us what it's like for a player going through contract negotiations and not getting what you feel like you're owed and deserve?
Yeah, I can tell you that. It's disheartening to say the least, especially a guy of Micah Parsons' caliber who's done so much for that Cowboys team, and really deserved to be paid for what he had done and what he's going to do in the future. But as we all know, Jerry Jones, he wheels and deals how he feels like it, and he didn't think Micah Parsons was deserving the way that so many other people believe. So Micah Parsons, he did what he had to do to get out of there, and he successfully did.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about this snapshot that turned smear for Micah Parsons right before he got up out of Dallas. So, Gabe, if you want to pop up a picture, during a preseason game, Micah Parsons was seen laying on a trainer's table for a very brief moment during a game, I might add. It was not like he was over there lounging for an entire quarter, taking a nap and things like that. But a quick picture like that, quick moment, maybe last 2 minutes, 3 minutes, quickly turned into the biggest storyline, biggest narrative on social media, just regarding Micah Parsons and his support for his team and his guys out there going on the fighting, for their lives and fighting for a job. And this is how this is his tactic to get out of Dallas. When you see a picture like that, Cole, tell me first, this 2-part question. One, is this acceptable as a football player doing this at any level, high school, college, NFL? Secondly, when you see this, what's the first thing you think about that the media will say when they see a picture like this and a guy in a contract dispute?
Yeah, man. First of all, if you see this, if it's the way that it's painted out to be, that he was laying over there and not supporting his guys and all that stuff, it's not acceptable. It's disrespectful to everybody else that's out there fighting for a job and fighting for their NFL lives. It's disrespectful to your teammates. It's disrespectful to your coaches, the organization, to the fans, everybody. So you never want to see something like this. And Micah Parsons knows very well that all eyes are on him in this type of situation. So for you to go ahead and do something like this, you know what's going to happen. So you kind of know what this comes with. Especially if you did it for any prolonged period of time. With what you have going on with the contract disputes, everybody's going to uh, link that to you and your disgruntled feelings towards the organization, and it's just not a good look. It's not a good look at all.
All right. Well, shout out to Mike Leslie then, because right after this picture went viral, Gabe, let's pop up Mike Leslie's original tweet where he basically came to Micah's defense and he said, in the interest of clarity and fairness, Micah Parsons was not laying on the training table all night. In fact, that was only a relatively short portion of the evening. So he's letting people know right now, because you can already see the narratives being spun like, oh, he doesn't care about his team. He's selfish and things like that. And Mike's like, hold up. Wait a second. Like, let me provide a little bit of clarity, a little bit of context. And I think this is why this podcast is important, because there's two sides to every story. There's two sides between journalists and athletes. So, social media journalists are going to take that and they're going to blast it to their people. And then all the fans are going to pick up negative news. He doesn't want to be there, etc. So Mike did that in his defense. And then Micah came in response, Gabe, if you want to put up that next picture. And this is what he had to say about Mike coming out and said that. He said, I actually appreciate this. The way media shapes perception and narratives is wild. And if he hadn't said anything, everyone would have just run with it. I never disrespect the guys out there fighting for their lives. So, Cole, do you think that Mike Leslie was right for doing that, for making that picture? Or do you think it was like more on Micah, like, look, don't do that, even if it's 2 to 3 minutes?
Yeah, I gotta commend Mike Leslie for putting out that tweet and really giving the real context of what happened. Because when I first seen the report, I had the same reaction, like, whoa, man, what is like? I understand that you got a dispute with the team, but for you to do something like this is crazy, man. And so when Mike Leslie came out with the second tweet and said this actually was a very short portion of the evening, and honestly, we don't even know when this was. It probably could have been during a lull in the game, or it could have been 2 to 3 seconds, not even 2 minutes. So for him to put out more context on it, I got to commend him for that. He didn't have to do that at all. He could have just let that run, but for him to do it shows that he like media and athletes who come together sometime too.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree. I think you need good journalists out there like Mike that will not let a narrative get spun and be like, you know what? Yeah, he's lazy. He doesn't care about the Cowboys. He was laying down, all these things. He's like, there's a story behind it. There's context. And I think also hearing that Micah Parsons was dealing with the back issue, I'm pretty sure that maybe has something to do with it too. Now I want to pop up the next response from Mike, because it seems like we were going to ask him about this, but it seems like he got a little pushback from everything regarding his response and whatnot. So he said, one picture from one moment in time does not tell the story of the whole night. Keep in mind, over the next day or so, as the talk shows run wild with this discussion, with wild discussion segments about Parsons laying down on the training table, I posted the picture too. Don't get me wrong, but there was a reason I also posted the clarification, because it wasn't fair for the pictures of him laying down to be the only thing out there. So with Mike saying that, look, like Mycole just said, you commend him for doing that. But I want to give you an example of why reporters like Mike are important, because if they don't come out and make posts like that, you see the next post. So Gabe, if we could show a post from another reporter from The Athletic, who is, I think, John Machado, who works in Dallas. He obviously covers the Dallas Cowboys, but he had a picture of Micah Parsons laying down on the table. And I think his quote or his tweet said, I don't think Micah Parsons wants to be here. So you see that, and you see that narrative get spun instantly from a media member. And that's why I think it's important to have two sides, to have proper context, because you have Mike saying, hey, this was basically a short portion of the night. And then you got John coming out and saying that he doesn't want to be here. So Cole, when you see those two different type of reactions, first thing that comes to your mind?
First thing that comes to my mind is how can you assume something like that when Michael Parsons has been saying over and over again, I want to be here. Like, I love the Cowboys organization, but you see how he's being treated by his owner / GM. And so you're really just putting this out there and you're not really giving the full context as Mike Leslie did. So it's really unfair, and it's really trying to spin the narrative and trying to incite, the reactions from the fans and from the people consuming your media.
Long story short, shout out to Mike Leslie. What you did, that was phenomenal, providing both sides to that story, because as Mycole loves to say on this podcast, people in media love negative news. And shout out to Mike for making sure it was. No, it's the people that consume negative news. We go argue about that every time you bring it up. But shout out to Mike for being a true journalist, a good journalist, providing context on the Micah Parsons situation. And shout out to him for handling that Trevon Diggs situation with class and utmost respect. It's always good. Like Mycole said, players can have some heightened emotions after a game. We can have some preconceived notions in our head about what cost the team the game, who did what, who didn't do what. And then we all go meet in the locker room and try and form a story. So that sometimes can lead to a lot of tension, high emotion, and some negative storylines or viral moments like we saw from Mike Leslie. And he told me that week was crazy for him. That I can only imagine. I'm pretty sure there was a lot of people on Trevon Diggs' side, and then there was a lot of people on Mike's side, and then there's journalists and people like us that kind of understand both angles to everything. So shout out to Mike. Wish he could have joined us and talked about this stuff a little further and a little more in detail, but we just did our best to break it down on why journalists like Mike or incidents like that need to be hashed out, need to be talked about, and need to be discussed. You feel me?
Definitely, bro. And it's definitely important, and it will continue to be important. I'm sure this won't be the last incident like this, and we'll keep breaking them down.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Cole, I think it's time we end with look, Capper certified. You feel me?
Let's do it. I've been waiting.
Look,
I've been waiting.
All right, well, you gonna pop us off because I feel like some of these questions I know where you going already, or statements, should I say?
All right, let's start with the first one.
All right.
Refusing a question labels a player as soft or defensive. I'm going to certify that, first of all. They automatically put that label on you. They automatically put that label. I'm not saying it's a fair label. It's clearly not. But it is something that they do. Even though you have the right to refuse any question at any time, when you are painted as a person that avoids questions, they're going to put this label on you as being soft or defensive, and it's unfair.
First impressions are everything, right? I'm kidding. No, I don't know. That's tough.
See?
I'm gonna have to cap that. I'm gonna have to cap that because I feel like I understand I can read the room. If you had a bad game, something like that, you don't want to talk about it. Like, all right, look, we know we ain't getting nothing from him today. Like, I'm not gonna label him soft or defensive because of that. Now, there's other instances where you just like ask a player a truthful question and then they get mad or something like that, and they do that consistently. That's when I feel like you get labeled. But no, I don't think you get labeled that one time refusing the question. But if you do it consistently, absolutely you can label it as defensive. Now, I wouldn't say soft. I'm not calling no grown man soft, but yeah.
But isn't it well within your right to refuse any question that or deflect any question that you guys ask? Just because you're asking the question doesn't mean we have to answer it.
No, facts. But if it's about your play on the field, why wouldn't you answer?
Because I have the right to refuse that question. Like, I don't have to answer anything that you ask me, sir.
Must have did bad in the game then, because y'all always want to talk about the good plays.
And I don't necessarily know if that's true either. I don't necessarily know if that's true. We just have to. It's in our contract that we have to talk about certain things.
I think the only player who don't be wanting to talk after a good game is Jalen Hurts. I feel like everybody else after a good game look, there are guys in the Vikings locker room. We go in there, talk to them during a week of practice. They don't want to say nothing. They have a good game. Oh, yeah, what's up? You want to talk? Go ahead. Yeah, I got 5 minutes for you. They lose. Nah, I ain't got time today. I got to go to meeting something. Like, oh, okay, yeah. So it's just
hey, win, lose, or draw, I'm trying to get up out of there.
Exactly.
I got something to do after this.
All right, the next one. Being a respected journalist is better than being a liked journalist. I'm going to have to certify that. I'm going to go first on that. I'm certified that because if you like me, that's cool, but you could like me for other reasons. Like, I'd rather be respected amongst my peers, the athletes that I'm covering, the coaches and things like that. I'd rather them say, look, I respect you. Like, I know you're not going to ask me dumb questions. You're not going to spin my words, blah, 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 blah. Whereas a reporter may ask tough questions, may ruffle feathers, may offend a player. And people at home may like that, but I'd rather be respected than liked.
Well, I mean, what if the respect is coming from the people at home and not necessarily the people in those locker rooms because you're asking these questions that the people at home want to hear?
That's
Like,
still
does it
respect
matter
though. Like
where the respect is coming from?
I'd rather be respected than liked. Like I'd rather people at home say, look, I respect him for asking that tough question. He knew he wasn't gonna get an answer, but I respect him for doing that. I just think respect carries a lot more weight than being liked because this world is so wishy-washy. Someone can like you today and then you say something tomorrow, tweet it out, and they be like, I don't like you. So I'd rather you respect me as a journalist. What you think?
I guess I certify that too. I'm not a journalist.
You are kind of now.
You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna put that label on. Y'all respect me, man.
That's true.
But I feel like they don't have to be mutually exclusive. You can have one with the other.
Yeah.
I think it's the point where you're disliked by the masses, but you're respected in the journalism world. I feel like that's kind of the imbalance there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Because you could be liked by the outside world and not respected at all inside those locker rooms, and that makes your job hell. So, I'd rather be respected for sure.
Yeah, man. All right, let's move on to the next.
All right, you got it.
All right.
I already know. I'm
politically correct answers piss journalists off.
Certified. I don't want to hear none of that cliche stuff. Like I hate it. I know I'm gonna get it every week, but I understand that when I talk to a player without a microphone, I get far better answers. I get way more context. But when that microphone come on, I know y'all can't get bulletin board material. I know y'all can't go out there and just say what really comes to mind. But that still don't mean that it pissed me off. Like, it's like, like, does it affect how I cover them? Gabe's asking, or do you ever need them to say more, get them to say more? Yeah, you try and phrase your questions in different ways and things like that. But yeah, it's like I know certain players I'm going to get great sound bites. I know certain players I'm avoiding after a game, and I'm like, I ain't dealing with him. Like I know he ain't gonna get nothing. He gonna tell me the same old stuff, and I don't want to hear that right now. So yes, I'm certifying that 1,000%.
I think we talked about this in the Tyreek Hill situation, man, where he kind of gave a politically correct answer with while also being on the verge of snapping on say reporter that tried to pull more out of him.
He just said, you trying to piss me off. That's what he said. You trying to piss me off.
Yeah, so it's kind of a slippery slope because honestly, our coaches give us a rundown of what we should say and what we shouldn't say in some of these interviews. And most of the time, what we should say is keep it as general as possible and steer clear of anything that's really going to make headlines that like you guys would like. So there's a fine line there. And when you're constantly being nagged at about how, I want more out of this question, whose fault is it? Who's to blame? Like, where should we place the blame? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it could really test somebody's patience.
No, like I feel you on that. Like from my point of view, Gabe's asking, like, is there an example of someone who's good with media so they get more run? Absolutely. Like here in Minnesota, Justin Jefferson, Jonathan Grenard. Like Justin Jefferson got asked a tough question basically about JJ McCarthy's development, his throwing, his maturity right now. And basically it was a setup question for JJ McCarthy and to tear him down. And he was like, basically took the high road. And it's like just shows you countless times again, like, athletes, especially superstar athletes, they have a lot more going for them than giving bulletin board material to reporters and speaking the honest to God truth. I know Jonathan Grenard may be a little bit more truthful, curse a little bit more in the interviews and shoot you straight, but he also won't tear down anybody. So those are examples of guys that we go to. But yeah, players like that absolutely get more airtime because they're more genuine. Whereas, the players who are the role players, just not trying to say anything to get them in trouble, they're just like, hey, this is what the PR person just told me to say.
Keep my job.
Exactly. This is what the PR person just told me to say. So this is what I'm saying. And you asked me about this, no comment. So I think, but still, certify that. That pisses me off for sure. So did you certify or did you cap it?
I'm certified. Y'all, I bet it does. I'm not extremely privy to it, but I bet it
You
does.
go find out on this podcast soon one day, I'm sure. You go find out.
Fair enough.
All right. Journalists aren't entitled to players' time despite their contract saying otherwise. Cap.
Certified.
What are you talking about? Cap. It's in your contract. What are you talking about? I'm entitled to your time after a game. I told a reporter one day, I said, hey, we just got turned down by this player. I said, is he obligated to talk to us? She said, absolutely. She said, if he doesn't talk to you tomorrow, let us know and we'll make sure that he talks to you. Because if he doesn't talk, he'll get fined. That's in your contract.
It's that attitude right there.
That wasn't me. That's what the team said. That wasn't me.
Grinds my gear.
That wasn't me. That was the team. I just said, hey, is this player obligated to talk? He turned us down today. She's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, if he doesn't talk to you tomorrow, we'll make him talk to you. And if he doesn't talk, then that's when he gets fined. I ain't say nothing. I just said, hey, is he obligated to talk?
Y'all playing with our money. First of all.
Why you ducking and dodging questions? It's part of your contract.
Because we don't, like I said, we had a right to refuse those questions. Like for y'all to feel
you can't refuse an interview though.
You can't refuse an interview necessarily. You can't do it too many times. You can do it, but you can't do it.
You do it like once, but you can't do it. So Cole, if you well, I'm sure you haven't done this, but like how many times have you turned down an interview?
I haven't really turned down that many interviews. So I'm not really that popular of a person to be interviewed, honestly. So, but I've seen it happen plenty of times, man. And it's really some of the same situation where guys aren't getting the chance to decompress from what the situation is, and they don't want to talk at that moment, so they refuse to interview you. But when reporters feel entitled, I think it's the word entitled that's getting to me. Like y'all feel like this, hey man, like you owe me, like sir.
Hell no, ain't nobody say you owe me nothing, but you.
That is some of these guys' attitudes that you owe me this time because of who I am and what your contract says. Like, come on now. It's weird for y'all to have any type of entitlement to another man's time. It's crazy.
I'm not saying.
Yeah, it's crazy. Think about it, bro. You got some things in your contract that you have to abide by.
Absolutely.
But those are the people that you work for. Like it's your station telling you that you have to do this, blah, blah. It's not an outside entity such as a media coming in and saying, I need your time, like, because you have to, blah, blah.
Disagree, though, because I feel like a station or someone else affiliated within our company or something, or maybe not affiliated with our company, maybe a story we're doing, they could be like, hey, we really want Ahmad to come out and talk about this and talk to our class. Yeah, I can turn that down for sure, but my job could be like, why? That's good for us. Why are you turning that down? Like you're representing us. So we want you to represent us in the best way possible. And I think that's the same thing with y'all after a game. Like you guys, it's not that you're entitled to us or anything like that. But I think you owe your fans an explanation for the game. Like these are the people who support you guys, buy your jerseys, come to your games, like do all this stuff. We are reporting for them. We're not reporting for ourselves. Like, I could care less if you talk to me, like, for my personal website. Like, I'm reporting for the people that support you. So I feel like I'm not entitled to your time, but contractually, you're obligated to do so. So in that sense, we are entitled to it based on your contract. And is it risky for me to go to a team member and say he didn't want to talk? No, because we have to go through them anyway to ask for player interviews half the time, unless it's after a game. And so, yeah, like I never once cared about going to a team and being like, yo, he didn't want to talk today. Like, can I get him another day? Like, because we got to ask for interviews all the time. So,
look, man, that's where the lines get blurred at. First of all, like you say that you're reporting for the fans. Okay, maybe you are, but a lot of these guys are trying to further their own brand. And that's just the truth, man. And with picking at these guys and making them give you interviews when they don't want to, and the off chance that they might say something that could give you a headline, is something that could further a reporter's career. And that's just the truth.
All right, we can agree to disagree. You need me to bring
What's the last?
Journalists can handle the hot seat better than athletes. Certified, absolutely certified. We're trained to do this. We're trained to ask questions. We're trained to be able to answer questions. They are trained too, but they are not that skillful at it sometimes.
I don't think that's
Why'd
true.
your smile just
I'm
wipe
going
off your face like that? You just went from
That's
smiling.
cap, bro.
You just went from smiling to just frowning real fast. What did I say? What did I say?
That's cap, man. Like, are you really trained to ask questions? Are you really trained to answer questions? Are you really trained to ask questions, bro? Like, you've never been put in the hot seat to where I'm about to grill you about your performance, and you're gonna have to answer to all these things.
We get that in the yearly review with our bosses every year. They ask us all the time. Or you have your production meetings after a show where your producer will be like, "Why'd you say this? You know that was wrong, right?" Like blah blah. Be like, "No, I felt like this was needed." They'd be like, "No, but you were wrong. You should." So we got to be defensive of ourselves. We get put in the hot seat all the time.
Yeah, that's behind closed doors, bro. Like y'all are doing that in y'all
We
offices.
We get called out from fans on Facebook and Twitter, and they comment on us. They start blogs about us, like, "Oh, this person's terrible," blah 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 blah. Like, what you mean? Like, we get put on the spotlight on social media all the time. We got to respond, or don't have
And
to.
we're talking. So you're comparing a national football league, a national level, really a global level of exposure to a fan's blog that has 50 followers.
Let's rewind. You acting like y'all press conferences are just blasted live all over the world. They take place here in wherever stadium or a city you play in, and then they get broadcasted. That's the same with social media. Social media has that same reach of the National Football League.
Social media definitely has that same reach, but it's not reaching out to a local journalist and blasting them everywhere. But it could take an athlete saying the wrong thing and take it worldwide easily, and it happens all the time.
I hear you, Cole.
If y'all had those same ramifications, it was under that same type of pressure, and then you're getting it from your bosses, like you can't say this. You're getting it from the league.
We have that now.
What's going on?
We have stuff like that now with personal issues that we can't address. Charlie Kirk, we were just told we can't talk about that. So I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to give an opinion. I'm not going to mention anything on that. But we get messages like that all the time saying what we can and what we cannot talk about. Or if we go on social media, make sure we stay neutral. Like, you can't give an opinion. You can't basically like put a torch and some gas lighter fluid on something and let it blow up. Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like, we're used to this, brother. Like, we handle criticism all the time. We get put on the hot seat we have to make live television where mistakes can happen at any given moment, and then who got to face that? It ain't the producer who maybe wrote that, or it ain't the other producer who misspelled a lower third. Guess who gonna be to blame for that? If something happened bad on TV, guess who got to be the face of that? Me. You know who go email me? Everybody. You know who go email our producer? Nobody. You know who go contact our producer or our web manager on social media? Nobody. They're gonna tag me. So I think we are prepared to handle the hot seat better than athletes. Long-winded answer to say certified.
That's a great argument, man. We're going to have to put you to the test. Coming real soon. Ahmad on the hot seat.
I ain't got nothing controversial to talk about, so it ain't no hot seats over here. We good, baby. It's always cool. All right. Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up this episode this week. So once again, shout out to Mike Leslie. Couldn't be here, but keep doing great work down there in Dallas. We'll have to catch up with you some other time, maybe when you're not affiliated with Tegna and them controlling your name, image, and likeness. I know all too well how that goes. Used to work at Tegna and stuff like that, so I'll stop there. But yeah, another good episode, Cole, and nice setup there, brother. It looks very, very articulate behind you. Sophisticated type look.
Hey, man, I appreciate that, man. Hey, I'm learning.
Journalist. He's a journalist, y'all. Resident journalist on this episode.
I wear many hats.
All right, brother. Well, I'm going to catch you next week. We'll be back next week for our week 3 recap on Tuesdays, and then we'll be back for another episode on Wednesday. So make sure y'all like, subscribe, comment, do all that, and then let us know what you want to hear and what you want to see, and we'll be back.
Let's go.
Stand for the truth, otherwise take a knee. Made it to the league, now we gotta take the lead.
Touchdown, Mycole Pruitt.
Sports Now, I'm Ahmad. Must be two sides.